Hi everyone, I'm Ian Harvey, massage therapist. Today I want to talk to you about abdominal massage, but I really want to talk to you about the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system. If you'd like to skip over all this pre-massage stuff and get straight to the demonstration, then you can click on the time codes down in the description. So why am I talking about the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system in a video about abdominal massage? It's because I feel like the abdomen is the easiest way of increasing parasympathetic nervous system activity in your clients. And putting people in touch with their abdomen is a good way of allowing them to control their stress levels, help with their own digestion, and lots of the little effects that come from stress reduction, rest, and relaxation. Now, everything that we do as massage therapists is a parasympathetic nervous system activator. By placing our hands on someone in a conscientious and kind way, we're letting them know that they're in a safe place, that they're being cared for, and this sends a powerful message to the brain that, hey, it's okay to let your guard down just a bit. It's okay to let some of that stress go, to let that heart rate decrease, to let that respiration slow down, and even to let their mind slow down just a bit. I think a very common problem we see in our clients is just constantly being tight as a spring, both mentally and physically. So if you see a client who's coming in for anxiety, for stress, ask them if they'd like some work with their abdomen, because I think that they'll find it profoundly relaxing, and you'll find that making contact with that area does a lot that even regular massage, which is great, can't do. So a quick reminder about the autonomic nervous system. This is the part of your nervous system that takes care of all of the automatic functions of your body. Eating, defecation, your heart rate, your respiration rate, how big or small your blood vessels are, all the things that you don't need to consciously think about in order to make them happen. The sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight nervous system, you may have heard it called, but it's also the alertness nervous system. It allows you to be awake. It's the nervousness nervous system. If you feel nervous, it's because your sympathetic nervous system is activated. Your parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest nervous system. It's what allows you to go to sleep. It's what allows you to relax. It's what allows you to digest a meal. And these two work together. By both of them working in conjunction, you're able to keep a good, modest, steady heart rate and respiration rate. So it's good that both of these exist. The parasympathetic nervous system isn't better than the sympathetic nervous system. They are best friends. But as you probably know, and as you may remember from massage school, the sympathetic nervous system tends to be overstimulated in a lot of people. And if we can help our massage clients get more in touch with their own ability to relax, with their own ability to evoke the relaxation response, I think we'll be doing them a huge favor. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to a specific nerve in the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. This is the vagus nerve. It is actually two nerves. Most everything in your body comes in pairs, and it comes down through the throat, and it goes all the way down into your heart, into your lungs, into your viscera. This is your longest autonomic nerve. Now, this 10th cranial nerve, it's a mixed nerve. It not only sends signals to the viscera, to the heart, to the lungs, it also receives signals back in the other direction. It listens to what's happening in this internal visceral environment. If there's a crisis happening down here, it's receiving that signal. If there is ease and comfort down here, it's receiving that signal. And neurologists have figured out that they can directly interact with the central nervous system by interacting with this cranial nerve. By electrically stimulating the vagus nerve at the level of the throat, they can send signals up that have some interesting effects. They've basically made a pacemaker that reduces depression by interacting with that vagus nerve. Now, we can't really interact with it at the level of the throat, and we don't need to, because we've got a lot of real estate right here that we can interact with. So as massage therapists, we can activate this vagus nerve as well by interacting with the abdomen and with the contents of the abdomen. By gently moving this abdominal cavity and changing its shape in a safe and comfortable way, and by making these safe and comforting contacts, we can send a strong signal up to the base of the brain that everything's fine, that it's okay for this abdominal wall to distend, that it's okay for the heart rate and the respiratory rate to go down, and for some of those adrenal hormones to get cranked down just a bit so that the person can finally relax. Another way of doing it is working with the breath, and this is something that you may have learned in massage school. It's abdominal breathing. So this chest breathing that a lot of us kind of get caught in, you're sitting at your desk working, your boss is stressing you out, you might find your shoulders climbing, you might find yourself only breathing into your chest as your abdomen stays tight. And that's a good recipe for sympathetic nervous system activation. And that feels like nervousness, that feels like adrenaline. By purposely breathing into our abdomens, by allowing those abdominal muscles to relax with each in-breath, we're sending a strong signal to our autonomic nervous system that we're in a safe place. This belly breathing is how we breathe when we're asleep. It's how we breathe after a good meal. It's how we breathe when we feel like we're in a safe place. So consciously taking over and expanding that abdomen with each in-breath is a way of saying, hey, everything's okay. And this is something that we can teach clients and something that we can work with as we're working with the abdomen. All right, this is my friend Vanessa. So we're going to start with some breathing exercises. This isn't something that I do with every client, but if a client seems to be bound into chest breathing, or if they come to me for anxiety and stress, this is something that I'll try with them. This is something that I'll offer them. If they don't like it, we'll never do it again. But I think that it can be something that's very helpful for people who don't realize that there are different ways of taking a breath. And it's an excellent way of working with the parasympathetic nervous system. This is a hack of the parasympathetic nervous system. By purposely breathing more into the abdomen, we're telling the brain that you're in a safe place and that it's okay to rest and digest. So Vanessa, I'd like to try a quick breathing exercise with you. This is something that you can do in the office if you're feeling stressed out or whenever you're feeling your shoulders start to climb up and get tense. And this is something that you can do just kind of throughout your day whenever you feel that starting to happen. Would you like to give that a try?
Sure.
All right, so to do that, take one of your hands and place it on your chest, right around your sternum there, and see if you can rest that arm. And this other hand, place it around the level of your belly button. And now, I'd like you to take some easy breaths and feel how each of your hands moves. You might feel how far your chest expands as you breathe, and with your other hand you'll feel how much your abdomen expands as you breathe. With every in-breath, I'd like to see if you can press out your lower hand, your belly hand, a little bit farther than your upper hand. It'll feel like every time you breathe in, you're poking your abdomen out. And I'd like you to allow that. That will require you to kind of relax your abdominal muscles. And just feel those hands move and feel that difference in that belly breathing. You'll still feel your chest hand move just a bit, and that's just fine. And while my client proceeds with this, I will breathe with them. I'll take in breaths when they do, breathe out as they do, and I think that kind of coming together like that just has its own therapeutic value. And I like to do a nice cranial cradle while I'm doing this. I may have already been doing this as I explained the exercise. And this is just an extra level of comfort, an extra bit of information, another reason for the parasympathetic nervous system to become more active. And after just a couple of short moments of that, I'll let them know, okay, Vanessa, you can go ahead and bring your arms back down to your sides again. And just remember that's a little exercise that you can do whenever you're feeling stressed. It's not something that you have to do all the time, just something that you can incorporate into your day. And I like to emphasize that this is an exercise rather than how they should breathe. I feel like sometimes when we talk to clients about breathing, we say, you should be breathing into your belly. That's how kids breathe. You should breathe that way too. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's a good idea to take them out of that constant chest breathing mode, but I think that this regular reminder through this exercise is a good way of gently doing that rather than kind of shaming them about how they breathe. I don't want them to get a complex about their own breath. That could be a little upsetting. And some expansion of the chest as you breathe in and out is perfectly normal, perfectly natural. I just don't want them stuck up here all the time. All right, so let's finally get to the abdominal massage. For this part, I would like to do a breast draping. You're fine. For this part, I would like to do a breast draping, but keep in mind that you can always do this through a sheet. So all the things that I'm going to show you, you can accomplish with this sheet in the way, just without gliding at all, and that's fine. Static contacts feel great. I think that'll be cute. I'm leaving that. So first, a refresher on how to do a breast draping so that we can undrape the abdomen. First of all, communication. Let your client know why you would like to undrape their abdomen, why you'd like to do abdominal work, and then get their informed consent for draping their chest and undraping here. Now, normally this is something that I would do prior to the massage. I'd ask about abdominal massage, whether that's something that they're interested in, but it would sound something like this. So Vanessa, I would like to undrape your abdomen. I'm going to have a cover over your chest, and your abdomen will be uncovered. And I'd like to do a little work there because I think it'll be good for digestion and good for stress relief. Is that something that you're interested in?
Yeah.
All right. So to undrape the abdomen, first have them bring their arms up over their head, and you can rest your hands behind your head or just have them up, and then fold this top drape downwards. If there's a blanket here as well, fold that down with it, and we're bringing this below the level of the collarbones. Then we're going to place this chest drape over the other drape in a way so that it comes above that level of the collarbones. That gives us a good place to apply some pressure. You can either use the length of your hand in your forearm here, or just a nice broad hand. And we're going to reach under this, we're going to anchor it in place, and then draw this bottom sheet down. There are different ways of doing this, but I find this way quick and easy, and there's very little chance of a draft as long as you keep this sheet low. Keep this sheet low to the body. We're going to fold this in place. I'd like to have a good amount of the abdomen exposed, but I want to stay just above the level of the ASISs, so about right here. And then we're going to fold this sheet upwards. So we're up to about the level of the lower rib cage. Now that you have this drape here, you can kind of tuck in right here, and if they want to, they can bring their arms down to pin this in place, so go ahead and do that. And then you can kind of resettle it. They can have their arms wherever they like, and now we've got a nice broad area of the abdomen to work with. Sometimes people ask me about how to work with people who have different amounts of body fat. So if I were working on a client with a lot of subcutaneous fat, there's really nothing that I would change about any of these techniques. We're still just grabbing fascia and giving it some traction. If the person has a very small amount of subcutaneous fat, we're still just grabbing that fascia and giving it traction. We don't need to worry so much about how much we're affecting the muscles. The muscles follow along. They're embedded in that fascia. So you're going to be having deep effects no matter how much subcutaneous fat there is. So I always like to start an abdominal massage with nice broad contact without any lubrication on the skin. So I'm going to be using big broad fingers, going to the opposite side of the body, and drawing back toward myself. Don't really worry about landmarks here. Don't really worry about if you're feeling that ASIS under your fingertips, if you're feeling ribs under your fingertips. Think of grabbing skin and pulling it toward yourself. As you do this, you can invite your client to take some easy deep breaths. And that's going to be doing some of the massage for you. And it may not look like it, but over the next minute or so, I'm going to be gradually gliding medially. And the fact that there is no lubrication on the skin, or maybe there might be a little bit left on your hands from working on other areas before, that will slow you way down. And once you come out of this, that abdominal breathing is going to feel a lot easier. You may even want to have them do that belly breathing exercise again just to see how that feels different. As you're doing this, make sure to breathe yourself. That will encourage your client to keep breathing. But I also want you to settle into this. This shouldn't feel like you're rowing a boat. You're not pulling for all you're worth. You're just exerting a few pounds of pressure back toward yourself. You're sinking into your stance just a bit, and their fascia is coming with you. Right now I've got my knees pressed into the side of the table. I've got my butt stuck out just a bit. I don't feel any tension in my back right now. I don't feel like I'm having to use my pulling muscles to do any of this. I'm just keeping a nice broad contact. And this isn't just my fingertips either. I'm using the flats of my phalanges and a little bit of my palm to create a nice fascial drag. And slowly, slowly moving medially. And come out of this gently and slowly. As you do so, you can sink into your stance more. And we're going to come at this from the other direction. You can choose what order you do this in. Maybe you've already come around to the other side of the table and applied that same traction here. Or maybe you pull here, push here, then move to the other side of the table and do it that way. There's really no wrong way of going about this. This other hand is just here for support. So I'm instead pushing toward the midline. And a lot of the contact is with the heel of my hand, but I'm trying to spread it through the entire palmar surface of my hand. And this will just feel a little bit different. It's not really possible for me to glide here, just because I have so much surface area in contact. From here you can do some other cool stuff, like tractioning downward with one hand. So I'm pressing the heel of my hand just south of the ASIS, so right along the tensor fascia lata. Traction downward. With the other hand, I'm going to be placing my fingers along this lateral rib cage. And Vanessa, do let me know if I'm ever too far into your personal space, okay? Mm-hmm. If you've got an open line of communication with your client, then this work with the lateral ribs shouldn't be too much of a problem. Just have them let you know if you're too far into their personal space. And let them know that that's not your intention. With myofascial release, I want to work as broadly as possible. So what I'm doing is I'm spreading downwards. As I'm spreading upwards, we're creating some fascial traction along this oblique region. All right, and now I've got a little bit of shea butter here. I also like jojoba oil for this application, but anything will work as long as you just use a little bit of it. I want some glide, but I don't want a ton of it. And here we're going to do what you learned in massage school, which is that sun and moon stroke, that clockwise stroke. I don't think anything is going to go wrong if you do a little bit that goes the other direction, but I trust my teachers from massage school, and I'm going to primarily be going clockwise. Don't be afraid of a little skin stretching, and don't be afraid to cause some distortion of this abdominal cavity. I'm reinforcing my hand here just to really drag this tissue along. I've got no set routine for this. I just like to create some fascial traction in toward the midline, up and out, and then in this circular fashion. Very slowly. And as you create some changes in the shape of this abdominal cavity, and while your client breathes during that deformation, the contents of that cavity, all that viscera, is going to be sliding past each other. This fascia is going to be receiving some comforting contact. Some stretch is going to be happening in that fascia. And as long as you stay within your client's comfort range, these should all be stimuli that are going to be sending good signals to that vagus nerve and to the parasympathetic nervous system in general. This is another way of hacking that parasympathetic nervous system and letting it know that the client is in a safe place. Even if you don't do much in the way of abdominal contact, just placing static hands on the abdomen can be very calming if the client is open to that. This can be through the drape, it can be through clothes. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. We're not trying to break anything up. We're not trying to change how this abdomen works. We're just trying to interact with it in a lot of interesting ways, and in a way that feels comfortable and safe. And from here, I like to reach to both sides. Remember that the abdomen is three-dimensional. It's not just that area at the very front. I sink back into my hips and draw upwards. If this is at all uncomfortable for your back, don't lean into this. Keep your back nice and straight. Stick your butt out just a bit. You should never be using your spine like a crane. You shouldn't look like this. Keep it straight while you're doing this lifting. And if this is still too much for you, use less pressure on the client. Take less of their weight. I'm probably taking 5 to 10 pounds of Vanessa's weight as I stand up. I'm not trying to lift her entire body, but I'm just creating some more of that deformation from the sides. Grabbing this fascia that might be linked in with this QL, linked in with the thoracolumbar fascia, and dragging it forward. And finally, just realize that there's not a lot of wrong that you can do with this abdominal contact. It's okay to be a little more vigorous than I've been. It's okay to sink in just a bit as long as you're tracking your client well and making sure that there's no discomfort. Just having your abdomen worked with in a thorough and conscientious way is incredibly relaxing. It sends signals directly to the vagus nerve. And it just feels nice. You know, we never really get our abdomens contacted. We often forget we even have them unless we're doing crunches, which is messed up. It's nice to help people reconnect with their bodies in a holistic and kind way. So feel free to play around, work with these different directions of fascia, work with creating traction in ways that the abdomen doesn't usually get that kind of input. Do some nice hand over hand stuff. Work a little ways up into the rib cage. Work down toward the hips, keeping your client's comfort level and modesty in mind, of course. Play with the breathing. Play with static contact. play with nice slow moves and with things that are a little bit quicker. And remember the three-dimensionality of this core. So that's how I do abdominal massage. That's my rant about the vagus nerve. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.